a month, I buy the license for them, and I demand that they send me a story. Whatever story they send me, they have to turn it into a product or a service. So come up with a story. And let me give you one story. I'm working with a nonprofit organization, Care Epilepsy Ethiopia. We're doing a fundraising this Saturday. In the fundraising, we have a silent auction. A silent auction, objects are put on the table. People would come and put a bid without saying anything. How do I know? How would I follow up? How would I know which item has been already, somebody has put a bid, which items I need to advertise more? I expect 100 people to be there. So we said, why don't we create an agent? Let the agent create a QR code and take a picture, put the QR code in the picture, show it to a person. A person would sit in the table where they sit and eat. There would be the QR code in a picture. A person interested will take the QR code. It opens up an application and say, this bid starts at 200. How much you like to enter? They will enter whatever they want. Nobody sees it. The monitor would see that and say, oh, item number 4, nobody's doing. I'm going to advertise more. So that's a story I'm talking about. You create a story of what you want to do and give that to AI. It becomes a product. You see it, you don't like it. Again, it's iterative. It doesn't happen at once. You give it some, and then it gives you back, oh, I don't like this. Do this, do that. So you go through that iteration, and then you end up with a product or service or whatever story you have.
Wow, fascinating, very interesting. While I may not have lots of time to sit in a class, but any resources anyone has, by the way, while one of you are answering or other people, post on the chat any resources for a quick learning tools. At least for I consider myself AI dummy. I know some few things in this world, but I can learn a lot on AI. So please, if you can share. So I'll ask Dr. Bobras one question, and hopefully from audience, there might be other questions. Audience, if you have any questions, please put it on the chat. So Dr. Bobras, I don't want to leave this panel without this question, which always bugs everybody. It was on CNN even this morning, and many things, is the ethical and governance aspects. So what do you think? What ethical and governance issues should anyone, institutions, hospitals, healthcare centers, or universities consider or need to consider adopting AI, but with respect to your profession, particularly in healthcare settings?
Yeah, this is a very difficult question to answer. I will try to give in my input, but this is something that would require a lot of discussion around government official, private sectors, and something that we should keep discussing and evolve the recommendation about. But one of the main things when we talk about health and AI is data privacy, and patient confidentiality. We talk about healthcare system or the HIPAA protocols, all the workflow around the healthcare involves patient information, and we have to be very careful about our patients' privacy and confidentiality. So when we push the use of AI in the clinical workflow, it should be with a mindful recommendation that the physician should consider the patient protected health information, and that we don't expose our patients' privacy when we use this AI models, whether it's the LLM models or other predictive models. So I don't know if any of those AI and the applicability comes along with strong regulation and guideline, but data privacy is something that we have to be very careful about. Another thing that I see is about the issue of equity. One work I am currently doing is about drug development. We always talk about the current available drugs in the world are studied only on less than 2% of the African gene. And the world is going towards precision medicine. And we're saying we don't even have, as Africans, we don't even have enough genomic data set to develop a specific drug for our population. So the same kind of problem is upcoming in the AI world. We're completely adopting adopting a data set, an AI model that is studied on the Western data. So the applicability of that, when those AI models make recommendations for our physicians, make recommendations for our researcher, there is an equity issue or a bias issue that we have to really consider. So that applicability is something we have to really think about, and how are we going to adopt or train those models on the actual problem that's on the ground in the African continent. Another thing that's very much applicable in the medical space and using AI is, at the end of the day, accountability and clinical responsibility should rely on the physician. Anything happens on the outcome of clinical care, the physician is the one who should take the accountability and the clinical responsibility. So when physicians are using AI for any clinical assistant, they should be mindful that they are the ones who should make the final decision making, because the accountability and the thinking process should rely, and responsibility should rely on the clinicians. And the final big gap that I see is generally the governance framework, the regulation that we've been discussing about. We need to formulate boards that would continuously discuss this, because already AI is being integrated, whether it's regulated or not, in the day-to-day lives of physicians, researchers. So how are we going to regulate those? How are we going to adapt those AI models to our specific population? Is there any ongoing monitoring and evaluation that we need to use? What guidelines are we recommending to our experts is something that we need to think about. So governance framework is mainly the responsibility of the physician and also the private sector, but the terms of accountability, governance framework, equity, and the data privacy are like the big topics that I hear when people talk about AI and ethics.
Perfect. Wonderful. Lots of definite issues, very important. Accountability issue that came up in our academy discussion as well. And definitely physicians are the actual physician is the one making the final decision. And look, even though streamlining the process, AI supports, helps them. After all, AI, I always wonder, this artificial, it's not quite artificial intelligence. I think it's a collective intelligence of all your wonderful, smart people around the world. So great. So thank you so much. And Dr. Igbe is posting different notes for all of you to pay attention in the chat. And there is logistic questions that they will P2P and Anandach will answer, but there is no necessarily subject matter question. In the remaining 1 minute, all of you allow me, first of all, to thank our wonderful distinguished panelists, Dr. Wubrast Bakale and Dr. Salamon Nagash. Thank you both so much. And I would like to make one disclosure on my own self, because this morning was the time I sent them the questions. I was too busy, right? So I looked at the concepts that was shared to me by Dr. Nauga and Dr. Egbe on this. So I quickly said, why don't I try AI? So I used Microsoft Copilot that I have on my devices. So I asked it, can you generate questions? So if you think these questions I asked were smart or something, it's not me. It's AI generated questions, just as a disclaimer. So thank you so much, both of you. Thank you all the audience. Greatly appreciated. So back to you. So Igba. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much, Professor Anderson. We really appreciate you joining us because you're extremely busy and your questions were excellent. So you must have put the right prompt, So I mean, there was some conversation in the panel chat about context, and about how AI is not good for context and those kind of issues. So, but I think what you did show also for Professor Nagesh's students is that you must ask the right questions to get the right answers. And also the more times that people from the community ask this kind of questions, it helps to make the AI, at least as I think Ms. Salami said earlier, actually sort of understand this environment a bit more. Please, before you go, if you haven't done, Jamie, if I don't know if you're there, so you can put it, people can see it. Please fill the survey. We really would appreciate it if you can fill the survey. And somebody said they didn't know Ethiopia has such brilliant folks. Well, I don't know. People that have survived a couple of 1,000 years, not surprising. But thank you so much for those that joined us no matter what time, evening, afternoon, morning. Really are very grateful. And we hope you will join us next in July. This is bi-monthly, so we promise you also an interesting conversations in July. But thank you so much. And thank you very much, the ANADAC team and the P2P team that supported this actually happening. Thank you so much to everybody.
Thank you all so much.
Bye.